Can you discuss how you got started with the city of Lake Forest and how that evolved to serving the special needs community?
Yeah. Many moons ago, I started with the city. So I'm 35, about to turn 35 now. The city actually hired me on at 18 to be a recreation leader, which for us is like kind of like our front level, just kind of like low tier employee, just beginning. So I worked here at the skate park. And from there, they promoted me to a senior rec, which is just kind of like similar, but it's on site money handling. And then from there, I jumped over to the state of Oregon, was a park ranger for about 5 years. And from there, the city hit me up and brought me back to kind of work in the capacities that I work now, which is a little more managerial. And since I have experience with skateboarding, they hired me to run Etnies Skatepark. And the attachment with Etnies Skatepark is you have special needs. So they actually hired me to run the skate park, and with that, special needs was put on my plate as well. So that's kind of how I ended up in this position. But yeah, it's been amazing, and it's great because those are the two best communities you can serve. So I kind of lucked into the dream job, just kind of through fate.
Can you discuss your skating background a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, nothing too crazy. I've had like flow sponsors here and there, but I've been skating my whole life. Most of my best friends are professional skaters. So those are the guys you'll see in like Thrasher magazine and putting out video parts. And I've just my whole life I kind of tagged along with them, skating, doing my thing. But yeah, I've working at skate parks for at least 10 years now. If I'm not working at the skate park on my days off, I'm in ditches and schoolyards with my friends who are professionals, filming parts and stuff like that. And then on top of that, when I was up in Oregon, built a ton of spots, helped work on like a lot of the local parks, just like light carpentry work with like Grindline, other companies like that. So yeah, skating is professionally, it's in my blood. Like that was once again why I was like the main choice for this job when it opened up. Was just because of my skate experience.
So then, what had been your experience working with people who are neurodiverse before you started this role, or had there been any experience?
None. In terms of working, none. My mom was a special ed teacher, though, growing up. So my mom taught special ed at Trabuco Mesa Elementary, and didn't have a babysitter. So every day after school, I would go and help my mom out in the class and kind of get to know all the kids and work around them. And then my best friend growing up, Ian Taylor, had Prader-Willi syndrome. And so I guess professionally, nothing on my resume, but it is a community I've been around my whole life. Love them to pieces, love them with all my heart, and feel very comfortable with, which is kind of a huge part of the job.
So, how do you set up the events and decide what the city of Lake Forest is going to do?
So the events, the kind of the meat and bones, the framework was here when I got here. So when I got hired on, we had budgeted for 4 events or 4 kind of quarterly dances. That being the Halloween dance, which is easily our biggest one. That one, everyone comes out of the woodworks, costumes. That's the event of the year. We also do a Christmas dance, which is more the holiday theme, Christmas cookies, warm and cozy. We do our resource fair, which you guys always participate in and have always helped out with, and we love you for that. And then we have our Summer Buddies barbecue. So those are the kind of like the 4. They were always there. I can build on, but the way the council works is they budget for these events. These are the events like we have the money for and that I host. And then on top of that, we do other things kind of like our resource group we did with you guys. I've worked with the state council to kind of bring on, during COVID, we did like PPE package giveaways. So since the budget is relatively small for what we get out of it, what it is mostly is they give me a lot of freedom to run events. And that just kind of depends on like who I can partner with in the community and kind of work with to get something going. But the 4 main events of kind of the groundwork were there. Those weren't some things I created. They're just things that I build upon as best I can.
What have been some of your proudest moments in your role as the recreation supervisor for the adaptive skate park?
Uh, Probably the mayor's award. So yeah, in 2023, I got Mayor's Award, which is, I guess, the city equivalent to Employee of the Year. I mean, not the same, but it's about the highest honor I could get in my position. And they gave it to me specifically for my work with special needs and that whole community, on top of things I've done at the skate park. But a huge part of it was just the programs that we're able to run and able to bring together. And like I've said, I'm just a small cog in that machine. It has to do a lot with the partnerships we have with you, the partnerships we have with the state council, everybody who comes out to the dances and makes them fun. But that was definitely, I mean, in my whole professional career, including being a ranger, everything I've done, like that was probably like a high point, because it's about the biggest honor I could receive. And it's all thanks to kind of everything we've done with this community. Yeah.
Can you discuss, because you mentioned ABSI, can you
Yeah.
discuss some of the ways that you partnered with ABSI in the past, like for the Halloween dance, the recent resource fair, that kind of thing?
Everything. So when I first started, it was one of our recreation commissioners was Jim Rosenberg, and Jim has since passed on, RIP. But he was a great guy, and as a commissioner, he always pushed for special needs. So when I first got hired on, he kind of pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, you need to get in contact with ABSI." And so literally the first thing I did as a special needs supervisor was send an email to Andy and got in touch with him. And then from there, we kind of did our networking groups, which were awesome. And it included, all sorts of, I guess, like beneficial speakers. And so we hosted those for a few years while Jim was around. And then Jim kind of passed away and COVID hit, and the city was like, okay, maybe, with COVID, there was a lot of transitional programming. So the city was like, okay, maybe we don't do that for a little bit. And then ABSI still picked up the ball in terms of like, whenever we have events, you guys help get the word out. You guys have always been great with like sourcing donations for us. The news press that we just recently had. I mean, like, yeah, it feels, for special needs, it really does feel almost like how this is Etnies Skatepark. When we have our special needs department, ABSI feels more like a partner than just another, corporation inside the community. Whereas usually if I have programs, like I touch base with you guys first and you guys the same, and we kind of try to build stuff together, which is awesome. And it definitely helps because I'm a one-man department. So it's great to have like you guys and your resources as well.
You mentioned COVID. How did that affect what you do and what the city was able to do during, like the 2020, 2021 time when things
Yeah.
were more restricted?
Yeah, for me, it affected everything. Just because I ran two, I guess, recreation departments, and that was kiboshed for a year. So the city, thankfully, I mean, I know some people weren't as lucky. The city kept us on and had us still work. Luckily, it's the biggest skate park, one of the biggest skate parks in California. So there's no shortage of maintenance needed. So what it was me and Scott, the other full-time person, we stayed here on site, and we kind of did everything. Our whole job description just kind of changed, but we still stayed busy. So we resurfaced a lot of parts of the park that needed repair. It was actually kind of nice to get to do the things that we had to put off because we're open pretty much every day. So like we resurfaced a lot of the concrete, fixed a lot of the tiles, we painted a ton of the walls. When things slowly started opening up, we actually had our crew come back. We were the first employees to come back. So we had our guys, like our part-time employees, which are, they're the captain's only as good as his crew. And like, I truly have the best group of people working for me. And so my guys came back and they were the ones spraying and sanitizing parks. And when things first started open and everyone was, what can we do? What can we not do? What, like my guys were really right there on the front line, like, hey, we'll make things as safe and as good as possible. So that was on the skate park end. As far as special needs, it was tough because everything was shut down. So a huge thing we had was we would refer people. You guys had your online courses, and GG's had their online courses, and that was amazing. And then a lot of it was just getting in touch with parents and kind of helping them find ways to like keep their kids busy, help keep them safe, obviously, because it's a largely immunocompromised, people. So we would, just pretty much talking with families and just helping figure out safe ways to keep everyone busy, keep everyone sane, and keep everyone outside. But thankfully, I mean, for us, the city let us start having dances and in-person things as long as we did it safely, I think within like a year. So we were one of the first people to kind of try to bring things back in a safe manner as best we could, hit the ground running.
Now, when you look at your job, what are your thoughts on the community services, like on the community that you work in? Do you feel that this job, or have you come to feel that this job is like a calling of sorts?
I mean, calling sounds so like noble and holy. I don't know if I'd say calling, but I mean, I feel very fortunate. So there's two ways. It's weird because government can go kind of one of two ways. And so it's Scott, who I work with here at the skate park. Actually, it's kind of nice because I always like to say, like, he's more the brains, I'm more the heart. And you kind of need a little bit of both because, yes, we are government funded, we are government operated, but it's still a business and you have to run things as a business and you have to be reasonable. You have to. I, unfortunately, a lot of times I'm very much like on the communities. Hey, we should make everything free. Everything, it doesn't matter. We should spoil everybody and come one, come all. And so we find a good balance of that. But I'm definitely, I mean, in terms of like my job is the greatest job in the world. I'm so glad to do it because that's what it is community services. Like I'm given this budget and my higher ups pretty much just tell me like, hey, what's the most good you can do with this money we give you? And not a lot of people are in that position. And on, every job has its good days and its bad days. But for me, on my good days, which are so often, way more often than I believe a lot of people, on my good days, yeah, I go to sleep and I'm just like, whoa, like I made people smile. Like there's a lot of jobs you never get to make people smile. And it's a pretty regular occurrence for me. So I just feel fortunate, over the moon about that.
What are the most rewarding things about the dances and the special needs events for you personally?
Hearing all the feedback, because I didn't even know how kind of important they were, because like I said, this wasn't my realm of expertise when I started. I know skateboarding like the back of my hand, but special needs I kind of started from the ground up and kind of got to know everybody, and now I feel like I'm got my footing and I know it a little bit better. But when I first started, I had no idea how important those dances were until parents, at the dance would come and just every single person had nothing but the nicest things to say. And everybody was just like, hey, like we've been looking forward to this 4 weeks. When's the next dance? The second one ends. Hey, when's the next time we're all going to get together and like party like this? And so that was the biggest thing for me, was just getting the feedback and just kind of realizing like, whoa, like this really does make a difference, like these dances we put on, like, and even, my staff, like before we do the dance, give them the pep talk, like, hey, like we ask you to do a lot of things, but these dances are probably the most important thing we ask you to do. So like, bring your smiles, bring your A game, be as helpful, be as friendly as you can. Cause like this is what matters. Like you only get so many chances in your life to do something that matters. And like this matters.
Can you talk about 2024 and other events that the city of Lake Forest has planned?
Special needs or just in general? What are we?
Well, just, yeah, I mean, whatever you feel is relevant to this, whatever things that maybe you're involved in.
Yeah. So we have kind of a lot of cool things. We just did 20 years at the skate park, so it's too late for that. But I've got to give a shout out for it because it's my park. But Etnies just celebrated its 20 year, and we threw a pretty big shindig for it. And also, I know you and I have kind of discussed going into this summer, we're going to try to do a lot more things with music. So keep your eyes peeled. For us, the best way to get our information is just through following us on Instagram. Not a shameful plug. This isn't my personal Instagram, but just if you want to know, we have a lot of really cool band nights, even if you don't skate. Lots of local bands coming out. We do punk, we do, disco. We've had some rap. We've even had some like Hawaiian and jazz style people. Just a little bit of everything as an all ages outdoor venue. Coming up on April 6th, Scott and I, who's once again, he's my captain. I'm the first mate here. We have our biggest event actually for the city, and that's the South County Pet Expo. So talk about ending up with all the good responsibilities. The city also, in its wisdom, deemed to give me our pet adoption event, which is a blast. So we'll have about, anywhere from 60 to 80 booths, all rescue, cats, dogs, birds, reptiles, pigs, sometimes even farm animals, you name it. And we get them all at the Lake Forest Sports Park. And a lot of times there's cheap adoptions. Adoption fees are waived. We have vet services, pretty much anything you could ever want for your pet. And I'm overseeing that. And that's my next big event. And that's going to be on April 6th. And then the only other thing immediately soon is June 8th. We have, for special needs, our Summer Buddies barbecue. And that's always fun. It's a dance, but we also cook. Usually for dances, as I'm sure you know, like we'll order food and we'll order cookies. And for this one, I get staff on the grill. We bust out the aprons. We start flipping burgers. We crank out the dogs. So that one's always fun. And then I don't want to spoil any surprises because I'm not sure, it hasn't come through yet, but we're also going to be doing a little bit of a different thing for the Summer Buddies barbecue. So could be really sick. It's something I'm personally, I'm really excited if we can make it happen. The special surprise, Summer Buddies barbecue is definitely going down, but the special surprise I'm working on.